Yes, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time there is other than that in the day. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV. This afternoon, a live fan call-in show for Spurs fans. I say this at the beginning of every show, and then I get loads of people who want to call in and talk to me about other clubs. This is not that time. We're going to talk about Tottenham. There are loads of things people can call in and discuss if they would like to. What's happening with the manager? What's happening with the ownership? What's happening with the transfer window? Is Paratici coming back? What is happening with all the infighting between the Spurs fans? There is so much to talk about. This is the show where you are able to call in. You must have your camera on. You must want to be have something to talk about every week, please. Please, every week I say to people, so what do you want to say? And they say, oh, what do you want to talk about? No. I talk Tottenham all day, every day. This is your chance to come on. You must have your camera on. Obviously, we're always going to get trolls. We're always going to get people that think they can come without their camera. Must have your camera on. Have something to say. As I said, this is for lovers and haters and viewers and YouTubers and Jin and Jout, Levy in, Levy out, Paratici in, Paratici out, whoever wants to call in, this is the chance. All those people that have a lot to say, this is your chance to do such a thing. Doesn't mean you have to debate. You can debate me if you want. You can agree with me if you want. But, you know, it is what it is. Henry Fog TV says, some of that Sam Smith guy said, and we are Tottenham. Yeah, I gave him the chance last week to join. He didn't put his camera on and then just started calling me a CUNT. So he can talk about coming on, but these people do this a lot. They say they're going to come on. They don't. Then I block them because they troll and abuse. And then they go, oh, Savva won't debate me. And you're like, yeah, he will. Savva will debate anyone. All the YouTubers that give it a big one. Feel free. You're more than welcome. See a lot of YouTubers getting my name in their mouth. Where are you? Let's be having you, as my mate Delia says. So big up to each and every one of you. Yeah, I mean, you think about it. How many times we've been doing this show, the likes of Matt. Oh, I'll come on and talk. Nope. When Spurs win the Europa, I'll come on and talk. Nope. Like, where are they? Where are these people? They talk a great game. But listen, there might be something you just want to get off your chest. Something you're frustrated about, something you're really happy about. That's all this is. Doesn't have to be madness. Some of the calls turn into that. That's fine. Some of them don't. That's fine as well. Nothing's personal. Nothing needs to be absolutely crazy. But I will put the link in the chat in just a few seconds. Just going to check and see if there's any transfer news anywhere. Fabrizio Romano has said that that Jack Grealish will be leaving. It's guaranteed that Jack Grealish is leaving, so it'll be interesting to see where he's going. Gabri Veiga has gone to FC Porto. Here we go for 15 million euros plus add-ons. Very good player, Gabri Veiga, and he left to go to Saudi way too young, and after 1 year, he's coming back. Where are we? Anything else? Inter confirm Petar Sucic as new signing from Dynamo Zagreb. That's an interesting one. So he's joining Inter Milan. Andre Santos. No, that's not interesting to me. That's not. Real Madrid made an approach with both Franco Mastantuono's camp and also River Plate. Keep an eye on that one. That boy is a player. Absolute player. Other than that, not too much today. Fabregas looks like he's going to Inter Milan as well. So lots happening without it really being anything to do with Spurs. Spurs just really haven't got going, have we? There's lots of people that are, I've stopped believing any of these rumors now about manager in, manager out. This person's coming in. As far as I'm concerned, Ange Postecoglou is the manager until we hear otherwise. However, if anyone wants to debate any of that type of stuff, then feel free. But it is what it is. Smash the like button before we get going. Guys and girls, there's over 175 of you in here, and it is growing. And only 38 likes. So please do smash that like button. Also, if you would like to become a member, just ask me for the link. And subscribers, we are well on our way now to 18,500. We've just gone over 18,200. Big up to Aaron Kent, who says, hi, Savva, can I come on to talk about the manager situation, but from a slightly different perspective? You can indeed. You didn't have to put the super chat in to ask that, although I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yes, the link will be going in soon. Once we get to 200 people inside the chat, I will put the link in and we will take it from there. But I do want Spurs fans. I do want to talk about, I'll debate anybody on anything. It is what it is. Big up to you. Thank you very much for the super chat. That is very, very generous indeed. So again, thank you to Aaron Kent. Thank you very much for that. Daniel 90, big up to you, sir. So I've got a feeling that Grealish ends up at Newcastle. Yeah, it's very good football. I would be surprised if there's a lot of clubs looking at Jack Grealish. Really good player, good character, experienced winner. Homegrown. There's not a lot to not like right about this guy. So let me put the link in the chat very, very shortly. Tottenham Fan Show has said, what are we doing? We need signings, but we are just waiting for Levy to make a decision. We know that Ange is gone, but no. I think this is the thing. I don't think we know that Ange is gone. As I said, as far as we're aware, he's the manager until you hear otherwise. So at the end of the day, I do think that we shouldn't say we know he's gone, because we don't know he's gone, right? So listen, let me put the link in the chat. Let's see who wants to have a chat. Must have your camera on. Please don't waste my time. I will just block people in the background. Here is the link. It's going in right now. And I'm also going to pin it. There you go. You can see you must have your camera on, must have your name. So please, if anyone would like to come on and has anything to say, anything to vent, anything to debate, whatever it is, I'm here for it. I won't be worried. I don't need any prep. I'm pretty down with the going into it thing. Let's see if there's any of those YouTubers that love calling me out live on their shows. Let's see where they are. Where are you? Let's see. The amount of blocking you've done, have you got any subs left? Yeah, just the 18, nearly 18,500. So thank you for that. Big up to Ryan. How you doing, bro? You good?
Yeah, Sam. Just quickly, I didn't try and troll earlier. That was earlier when I said about Ange, I wanted Ange sacked. It wasn't a troll. It was just my opinion when you said opinions, and that's what I thought I would want as a thing. I weren't trying to troll you in any way, shape, or form.
Mate, I didn't think about it in any way, shape, or form, mate. It's absolutely fine. I know when people are trolling me, Ryan, and I know it's not you, so it's all good, bro. How are you, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Look, right. I honestly, I've been hearing so much saying that Ange is probably going to be gone by Friday. Now, I don't know how true this is going to be or how true it's not going to be, but it would be nice to see that happen. The only problem is, like I said to you earlier, I'd like to have Iriola just because he's got that Poch vibes, and I've said that to you. I don't know how many times I've said that to you, but I will back any manager apart from Ange. I'd even back you to go there and do a better job. Definitely, 110%.
Yeah, look, I think the difficulty is, look, as somebody that doesn't want Ange here, listen, when I first started seeing the rumours, I was like, oh my God, he's going. And then after a couple of days, I was like, oh, this is really tedious now. Like, I don't think he is going. If he does go, he goes. But either way, if he stays, he stays. I'm at that stage where I just want us to kick on with our transfer window. I just want Spurs. I just want Spurs now to actually start acting like, listen, we finished something like, this is like our 8th time in the Champions League now in like 20 years or something. We're not a small club, but we're not the biggest. I'm not stupid, Ryan. You know what I mean? I don't think we're up there with the Liverpools and the Cities, but I equally don't think we should be down there with some of the smaller clubs. So I just want to get going on that. And the whole Ange conversation, even me, I'm really bored of it. I'm really, really bored of it. if anyone wants to come on and debate me about it, of course I will, because I will honour my opinion against it. But
the thing is, though, Savva, the thing is, right? I understand how boring it's getting, but I just don't want to be ending in the same sort of position as we did at the end of this season, just gone. I just don't want to be ending 17th. I want to see fresh ideas from a fresh manager. And the thing is, right, without having a fresh manager coming in, I just think we're going to be in the same position. And I want to see us up that table next season with a trophy. I'd be happy next season with a top 10 finish and a trophy next season, just to kick on.
Yeah, look, I think we've got to be careful the way we pitch everything. I think we've got to be really careful, because when we say, oh, we'd be happy with 15th, we'd be happy with 10th, as long as it comes with a trophy. I think we've got to be really careful, because first of all, I don't think, with all the best will in the world, that we're going to win the Champions League. I will be absolutely, that would be the biggest achievement from any club in the world if this Tottenham team won the Champions League. We're not going to win the Premier League. We're just not. I don't care what anyone says. So then that leaves you with FA Cup and League Cup. Now, you're going to be playing twice a week, Premier League, Champions League. What does that mean? Are we then going to go strong in those cups? Are we going to treat them with the respect they deserve? Or is that going to be the time that your Archie Grays, etc., start getting game time? So I don't think that we can just say, I'll take this if we get a cup. We're not going to win a cup every year. We've not suddenly gone from 1 in 17 to... Listen, I'm not saying we can't win a cup next year, but I just think we need to be a bit realistic about it. That's all.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, Sav, right, for next season to see progression, I'm not talking about I'd be happy with it. I'd be a lot more happy. Look, I want to finish as high up in the table as possible and win a trophy. But to see progression next year, right, this is just for the next season. I want to see us in the top 10 and have a trophy, and then kick on again the season after and finish top 5 and a trophy. And then the season after that, finish top 4 and a trophy, or something like that. I'm looking for progression. And under Ange, we are not going to have any progression. We're just not. And that's why I think a fresh manager, whoever it's going to be, get us in that top 10 and a trophy. And then if we don't get a trophy the season after, okay, cool. But let's finish top 5 next season, at least the season after.
Okay, so let me ask you a question then based on that. And this is again where we need to be very careful what we want. What if next season we finish 10th but don't have a trophy? Because for me, that's an awful season.
Yeah, it is an awful season. But the one thing that you keep going on about, though, Sav, is progression and consistency. Sure. Progression and consistency. And obviously, I've seen enough of your shows to know you like progression and you like the consistency. So next season, even if we don't get a trophy, but we finish higher up, that's still being... how do I put it? Consistent and more progression, because we haven't gone up there and then gone back down there, or we haven't.
Sure, but
do you see what I mean?
I get it, but is 10th? Forget trophies for a second, just for 1 second as part of that. For me, this is the difficulty of what all of the, not saying you, but all of the people, all of the people that are condoning 17th. What they're doing is they're saying, it doesn't matter, we finished 17th, we won the cup. Fine. But now what people are going to do, they're going to do this and go, well, we finished 17th last year, so 10th is improvement. For me, next season, I don't want to be talking about 10th. Tottenham Hotspur should not be 10th in the Premier League. Tottenham should be a 5th to 7th club, depending on who we bring in, of course. If we go and get Eze, for example, if you go and get Guay, I'm not saying we will, then I'm talking about, right, I want top 4. But with the squad we've got at the moment, I don't think we're a top 4 team, and I don't think we're a 10th place team either. So that's why for finishing 17th, for me, was utterly, utterly despicable. People can change it the way they want. People can talk about, yeah, but we won a trophy. Why do you care? I care. I care that I watched my team lose 26 times this season. I truly care. If others don't, that's on them. I get it. That's fine. But for me, no, next season, 10th doesn't cut the mustard for me.
But Sav, right? You've got to look at it from a squad point of view, yeah, right? And let's just say what everyone's saying is right, and Ange is gone, yeah, right? Forget about any, like you said, park the trophy stuff at the moment. But it would be progression under a new manager if we went and got 10th. But then, right? But at the moment, if we, let's say you're correct, yeah, and we've got like the same squad and we finish 10th, is that not progression? Would you not say that's progression under a new manager?
No. We were 5th last year. Look, Ryan, I feel like what we've done here is, I think, whilst I don't think we've got the greatest squad I've ever seen, we've also not got the 10th best squad in the league. That's the problem for me. There are many teams that finished above us where we would have said at the beginning of the season, we are not swapping our squad for these squads in any way, shape or form, right?
Yeah.
Proper coaches won't have this squad 10th. So next year for me, right? I will assess this at the end of the season. It's impossible for me to sit here on the 4th of June when I don't know who the squad is and say, we must finish 5th. We must be 6th. I don't know. It might be that we lose Romero, right? That we lose Madison and we don't replace them, but yet with more kids. And if that happens, then I'll be going, oh God, 10th. But it might be that you had an Eze, you had a Guehi, you had Pauline. I'm just spitballing. I'm just throwing names. If that happens, I am saying to whoever the manager is, get us back in. The bare minimum next year has to be European qualification. The bare minimum. Yeah? Whether that's Conference League, Europa League, Premier League, that's got to be the bare minimum. We can't let this one season of finishing 17th suddenly make us think that mid-table is okay, in my opinion.
No,
only my opinion.
No, fair enough, Sav, right? But I'm talking about it like, if we get Eze and Guehi in, right? I'm talking about if we have more kids coming in. I'm talking about on that side of things. But if you're talking about having Guehi and Eze in, I'm expecting top 4 next season straight off the bat. When under a new manager, that's what I'm expecting. But I'm looking at it as we've got more kids coming in, because I'm looking at it realistically from how Levy does most of his business with kids. So that's why I'm saying progression with crappy kids in. I think 10th under Levy's normal regime is going to be a progression.
So sure, this is probably a better conversation for when the transfer window is shutting, to see who have we bought. Like, we can all sit here and speculate, but for me, I just think there's enough talent in that squad that we shouldn't be anywhere near there, mate. And I think, look, what me and you should do, we should pick this conversation up at the end of the transfer window.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, Sav. I honestly, genuinely think that's a good idea, because obviously we're looking at it from. I think you're looking at it with. I can't talk for you, but this is what I think. I think you're looking at it with having Eze and a Guehi in the team, and then fine, we're talking difference. But I can't talk for you, like I said.
No. Look. As I said, look, I'll wait and see who we sign this summer. I'll wait and see who the manager is, and then I'll make my predictions. If Ange is the manager, I'm not going to expect a lot in the league, whoever we buy. I don't trust him. I don't think he's good tactically. And the fact that he couldn't handle Bodo, Glimt, Alkmaar at the same time as playing Premier League games doesn't leave me any faith that he's going to be able to handle Champions League teams and league games. So, look, we'll see. But you've got to remember that if we are next season in the Champions League and playing your best team midweek and at the weekend, you're going to then probably need to use some of your more fringe players for the League Cup, for the FA Cup. Yeah. So this is going to be very interesting whether or not we're going to balance all 4 competitions. And I think this season it's shown that he can't. But look, Ryan, I've got a few people waiting, so I'm going to politely kick you off, and I'm sure I'll see you on next week's show.
Yeah, you will, Sam. Don't worry about that.
I know, mate. I know. Listen, big up to you. Thanks, mate. Appreciate you as always. You take care.
Yeah, you too.
All right, mate. Goodbye. Right, next up, I've got Daniela. Then I've got Aaron. Then if anyone else would like to go into the waiting room, the link is there. It's pinned just before I bring them on. Big up to my man, Rob Frank. How you doing? He has said, Frank in, big up the Franks. And the best Frank of all, my Frank, right there. Big up to you, all the Franks. Yeah, listen, as I've said, and I'm sure somebody will call in and want to talk about Thomas Frank. I can't believe the disrespect that our fan base are giving a really good coach, considering the absolute lack of coaching we've seen at this football club for 2 years. But that is what Spurs fans do. I think he's a really, really good coach, a really good manager who's done an absolutely brilliant job at Brentford and is getting pelters from people who don't understand coaching. Big up to you. Big up to you, Rob. Thank you very much. John Lee said, Savva, questions back to you. Oh, I like this. Your survey in your room. Okay, the poll that I put out. Do you sell Sonny for money or Tottenham history as captain in Europe trophy? John, I think what you're asking me there is, why am I asking the question about Heung-Min's son and would I sell him or not? Quite simply this. As a football club, if we want to spend money on footballers, you have to make money by selling footballers. It's pretty much the same as anything in life. If I run a business, I can't buy things for my business unless I've got money coming in. Son has got 1 year left on his contract. We just extended his contract. We triggered the extension. So I'm asking the question, lots of talk that he's going. Would you sell him? Would you take the money? Or do we let it run down and another player that we've not made money on? We do this with so many footballers, John. So again, the problem is you're looking at emotion versus the future. And football fans don't seem to be able to separate that. In a year's time, when Sonny is even slower and less effective than he is now, do you want that? Or would you say, hang on, we're going to get 40 million from him from Qatar or Saudi? I mean, I know what I would do. Yeah. But we're terrible in this fan base. We can never let players go. We hang on to them as though they're our children. Big up to you, John. And then big up to my man, Ethan Bates. Always very generous, been a supporter of the channel for many years. Thank you, Ethan. Really appreciate this. He has said quite simply, people need to stop this rhetoric. I would finish in certain number as long as we win a trophy. This season is an anomaly. Teams that are constantly low in the league don't consistently win trophies. Ethan, I've been arguing that till I'm blue in the face and people don't want to listen, mate. Yeah. If people want Levy to do a good job and act like a big chairman, then we need to stop saying things like, I'll finish 15th if we win a trophy. I'll finish 10th if you... That means you're going to have to be 15th and then find out in May if you've won a trophy. It's not for me. Big up to you, Ethan. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it as the room starts to build up. Hannah Grace said, Savva, but you're always angry. I'm not angry. That's just the way I talk. If you think this is me angry, you have not seen a thing. You want to see me angry? You can see me angry. This is not anger, right? And this whole fake picture that you're going on with a fake name saying, enjoy being champions. I'm not 8. I'm not 8. I've just won my first trophy at a five-a-side tournament. 2 weeks later going, oh, we're champions. First of all, we're not champions of Europe. That title is sitting with Paris Saint-Germain. Second of all, I'm not angry. Third of all, I'm not your bro. But thank you very much for your comment. I do like a good troll. Love a trolls. Bring it on. Bring it on. Let's defeat those trolls. Daniela, I know you're not a troll. We've spoken before. You're on mute. You're on mute before you start talking.
Yeah, I'm not on mute. Okay. Sav,
how are you?
Before we start, I'm fine, Don. I'm fine.
Good.
Just come back from work. I'm going to say congratulations from a West Ham fan. I hate it's okay, but I'm going to say congratulations. I watched a game with a couple of Spurs fans down in the Banquoff Arms in Mile End, and some Man United fans. And I'll be honest with you, as a neutral, yeah, I think it's a poor game. I get the tactics. Ange turned into Sam Allardyce, Sean Dyche, and David Moyes all rolled into one that day. And I get it. Man, you know, with a better side. But at the end of the day, I've always said this, and I always will say this: football's about luck, and we can all go on about skill, talent, best team. If you don't have the luck, you're not going to win anything, and it is all about luck and stuff like that at the end of the day. But my point, before I start again, on the Son thing, you say, thank you very much. You're a legend. You're a hero. Go, have 2 years, make some money, come back as an ambassador. And that's what you do to Son.
Look, Daniela, the Tottenham fans, we're not good with this. We're really not good.
No, but players not good with this. Players are not good with this. Players don't know when to go.
But the problem is I've had this for years. I mean, I remember for 5 years saying, Ndombele, it's not worked out. Let's move him on. Oh, no. But next year. Oh, no. But Lo Celso. We did it with Sissoko. We did it with Aurier. We did it with Sanchez and we just keep going and keep going and keep going. And listen, for what Son's been at this club, had some great years with that man. Listen, I don't put him on the levels I put
Kane
this guy. But
yeah, Janino, I remember that. Yeah, great player.
I think he's been a brilliant player for Tottenham. He's done some really good things. But the problem is, I think when you keep a player this long through emotion rather than actually what your eyes are telling you they're still doing, you start to remember them like this. And it's kind of like Hugo Lloris. Hugo Lloris was brilliant for us for about 7 or 8 years. And the last 2-3 years, it was a bit like, oh, Hugo, you're not the same. And so, yeah, that's my feeling on it.
Yeah, West Ham fan, we're getting the same thing with Antonio. Antonio should have gone 2 seasons ago. But we get the same thing with Antonio, that you're not as good as you were. And you remember in the times that you spent 10 games not scoring a goal and stuff like that, and 10 games not playing because you're injured. Now, my point, there's a lot of points I want to make about the season. If you just take all this thing about where Spurs, I sympathise with you, because I think a lot of these Spurs fans need to calm the hell down. We all want to win. We all want to get better. Last season was a strange, horrible season for all of us. Mm-hmm. Like, let's be honest, we were down there for you. We ended up, if you want to look at the league title, West Ham had a better result than Tottenham, but only by 6 points on 2 positions. But we all had awful. It was a strange season.
I agree.
Don't know where that one come from. I do expect you to be up there, but I expect us to be up there. I also expect Man U to be up there. I expect Everton to be up there. And there's going to be a lot of teams challenging up there. I think the Champions League is going to take out a lot of you. My big fear for you guys is Ange is going to want to win the Champions League to prove something to his knockers, and your league will suffer. I can see it in his eyes, his face when he won that thing. I'm going to go for the Champions League and stuff and else. As for where I don't get all this thing about you guys think the fans going, oh, if we can get Gay and Ezra. As far as I'm concerned, Gay's going to Real Madrid and SA wants to run his contract down. I think Palace have got a big problem. I can see Ezra is running his contract down to go on a free. And I think he's running that down to go on a free. And I think Palace have got one hell of a problem with Ezra, because I think he's going to do what Jonathan David did and what other player, like what Pogba did to Man United. I'm not leaving, but you're not selling me.
Yeah, see, what I'm hearing is that Eze is open to moving though, and again, last year he was open to moving. See, I don't think again, the end of the summer we're gonna have this conversation again. He's either gonna be at Palace or somewhere else, right? For me, I think he's mad if he stays here another year. I think his stock is very high. He's just starting to get more game time for England. He's just starting to get big numbers. For me,
it's the time for him to move. It's time for him to move.
Yeah,
where he moves.
It's time for him to move. Now, the problem that they've got with Guehi, I mean, Guehi for me is going to have loads of suitors this summer. He ticks the boxes for so many clubs. He's England's #1 centre-back now, by all accounts. He is. He's England's #1 centre-back. He's homegrown, right? He's always fit. He's always fit to play. He's a captain. Tick, 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 tick. for me, I think you're going to see, and what the clubs need more than anything, centre backs, centre forwards, right? So I think he's going to go somewhere. I think there's going to be a big dogfight for him this summer between 3 or 4 teams, good teams
I
as
think
well.
Liverpool will probably be my favourite. I think he's got Liverpool written all over him.
Well, I mean, yeah. I think Chelsea, Liverpool, Newcastle. I wouldn't be surprised if Villa, if Spurs have a cheeky bid. I wouldn't be surprised, depending on Romero. I wouldn't be surprised if Man City had a cheek.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that he ticks the boxes.
Yeah, it does tick the boxes for a lot of clubs. It's like it is about who's going to pay the money, who's going to pay, and where he wants to go with, where he thinks he can settle. And I've spoken to you before. I was posting you about us fans go, and I saw it earlier on in the show. Just go get this player. Just go get this player.
Yeah.
All in the transfer windows, I never hear anyone discuss what does the player want. What does the player's family want? What
you hear me saying it, Daniela? You hear me saying it?
And I put a post. I don't know if you saw it. I did put a post in your program lunchtime, and I was at lunch, so I was in and out. And I said the conversation a lot of clubs not having. How much is Brexit and the laws about moving families and friends around and visas, and how much has that changed for players, and how much is that influencing players' decisions where they go, where some people might find it, actually, I don't want to go there or prefer to go there, considering what's going on in the world.
Do you know what I've always said on this? And listen, I've always had probably a very different view to other people on this, because a lot of people say, just go and get him. Now, for me, I think if we apply that rule to, let's use Eze. We were talking about Eze, right? Yeah. Eze lives in South London. Right, he's half an hour away from Tottenham. Right, he's the other side. He's the other side of the tunnel to Tottenham. Okay,
yeah.
He doesn't need to pick up his family if he's got. I don't know what his situation is. He doesn't need to change anything. He can stay where he wants. He's half an hour from Spurs. He's an hour at most on a bad day. Right, he's a London boy. He speaks the language. No visa is needed. You don't need to pick up anyone and move them. Tottenham are, whatever anyone says, Tottenham are a bigger club than Crystal Palace. We can beat their wages. For me, yes, go and get him. Now, when people say things, try and get him, But when people say things like, just whack 300 grand on the table and get that bloke from PSG, and you're like, hang on.
Hang on.
You know, that's where I try and bring a little bit of balance, and people hate it. And Daniela, I always say this, and I always hope it doesn't sound too arrogant. I have had the fortune of working for 2 Premier League football clubs. So
I could get that. I get that. You probably know more.
When you're inside it, first of all, it's not glamorous like everyone thinks. Like when it's your place of work, it's a place of work. And when the players are coming through, you don't go, oh my, like when I was there, I wasn't going, oh my God, that's Kai Havertz. Like, so I worked for Chelsea at the time and Charlton. Oh my God, that's Kai Havertz. Oh my God, there's Peter Cech. Oh my God, oh my God, look, it's not that. You're going, oh, that's so-and-so. Like, hi, how you doing? You know, but it's very different when you're listening to them talk. You're listening to people who've been in, players, coaches, managers, scouts, intermediaries. The way they talk about football is not like fans talk about football. Right?
It's a job. It's a job.
It is, but the difference is they've got the nuance that fans don't have. So when people say things like, let me pluck a player out, like when people turn around and go, oh, why can't Spurs go and offer Kvaratskhelia of PSG to come and play for Tottenham? Just offer them 100 million and give him 300 grand a week. Well, first of all, he's playing for a top team, right? Yeah. He's playing for a top manager in Luis Enrique. He's winning league titles, Champions Leagues. He's playing with people like Doué, Vitinha, Dembele, Marquinhos, Hakimi. But sure, just ring him up and say, hello, mate, fancy coming to North London? Like,
play March away.
And can I tell you the biggest example I had of this, Daniela? This
Yeah,
was a
go
couple
on.
of years ago. Spurs did try. We know we did. We tried to get Bastoni from Inter Milan, right? And it was when Antonio Conte was at the club, and everyone was going, "Oh my God, we're going in for Bastoni." And I'm sitting there going, "You're not getting Bastoni. You're not getting Bastoni. That guy might consider it for a little bit, and then he's going to go, hang on, I'm from Milan. I'm an Inter Milan boy. I'm through the academy. Inter Milan challenge for the title every single year. They challenge for Champions Leagues. Inter Milan are a massive club. People are going, yeah, but if you give him 300 grand a week, right? Why is he going to come? If that's the case, his agent's going to be on the phone going, hello, Arsenal. Hello, Liverpool. Hello, Chelsea. Hello, Man U.
Yeah.
Fans don't get it. You've got to build up to that. You've got to build up to that level.
I agree with it. It's like it's the same as these other teams like Forest and that. They all say, "No, if we get Champions League, we get all the bigger players." Well, the bigger players go and look at Forest and say, "Hey, you got no chance of winning it. Why would I want to go to you?" Build up a reputation, and I might come back in 10 years' time. But I agree. I think it is. I think all of us have to just calm down a bit. The league's only like 2 weeks old, 2 weeks finished. I've looked at all the transfers over the last 5 years. Nothing happens early. You got the big split because of the Club World Cup. Yep. A lot of players are on holiday. A lot of players are finding out where he is. As you say, you got managers, merry-go-rounds just starting. Like that was it today. The Middlesbrough just sacked Michael Carrick and that, and stuff like that. You've got players on international duty, so you can't talk to those players that are on international duty, friendlies or this international league business that's happening. So nothing's going to happen till really July and August and stuff like that. And so we just have to bide our time, wait. And when it comes to rumors, I don't listen to any rumors. Like I'm just like we're hearing now. But for my team, West Ham, that it's been going around. Man United are offering Sancho money, kudos. Well, we just turned down Sancho anyway. That no one actually when it came out that Chelsea sent him back with 5 million, paying 5 million. Underneath it was also West Ham said no to him for 25 million. Yeah. We turned him down. We don't want him, and that. Yeah, so. Look,
I think. Listen. As a football fan and as a YouTuber, I love the rumors. I do. I think it's great, and we get to chat. But
It's fun.
It's fun. But I think what happens is a lot of people take a rumor and then go, "Have you heard he's signed for so and so?" And it's like, whoa. Like people in my chat, they'll say things like, "Oh my God, have you seen the rumor? We're putting in 50 million for so and so." It's like, where have you seen that? Like, where's and it's some publication in Bulgaria, or do you know what I mean? I just think people need to calm down just a tiny bit.
It's like what happened. It's like what happened Sunday. I was watching your stuff on Sunday about the Ange thing, and everyone's saying he's sacked, and it's like there's no news. You're all saying he's sacked, and I put the post on it say at the present he's your manager till you know otherwise, and that's how you deal with it. He's your manager. Till Daniel Levy says otherwise, and he's the manager. He's on holiday. He'll come back, and if he wants to stay, he'll stay. If Levy wants to sack him, Levy might be talking to other clubs, and these other managers might turn around and say, "Actually, no, to buy these managers out the contract might be too much." He might say, "Actually, I've got to give 6 million to Ange. I've got to pay." Let's say Palace another 5 million. That's 10 million. What's the point in buying 10 million down the drain just to change managers? Well, I can use that, keep the manager, and use that buy a player.
And
put the player.
I agree. Mike, sorry, I don't understand what you mean. What do you mean? How does that work with Al Hilal and the like? Then I don't know. Can you ask that differently, please? Just so that I understand what you mean.
I don't know what these Saudi Arabian clubs are doing. There's a political. I'm going to say there's a game of football politics, world football politics, as I see it, between Saudi Arabia and the American owners. Now we're getting linked with some American owners, and it's this spin of Super League, World Club Cups, Super League World Cup. The Arabs want international club football where they can compete with the likes of PSG, the likes of Spurs, like a Liverpool, like the Man United, like the Premiership clubs, all the big clubs. That's what they want to compete with. So they want to control the football, European football. So we get this big club football going around the world, and that's what they want. The Americans want Champions League in America. They want games in America. And they even want Premiership games in America. They want like Man United, Liverpool, Spurs, Man United, West Ham, Spurs. They want these games, Spurs, Arsenal. They want these games in America and stuff like that. That's the big fight that European football teams chasing the money. We all chase the money. Need to be careful of, because it's creeping up for us, and I think a lot of us are turning a blind eye to it and ignoring it. That's the big fight that's going on, and we as a fan base need to get wise to this and start saying, actually, this is not what we want. I got feeling players and we've got to get wise out. I don't know the information. I'm not in the big football circle. I'm sure you've got YouTubers who can find more information about this, whether it's true or not. But I think the whole football fan base, like with the Super League, need to not take their eye off the ball on this one, because this is what's happening with this Club World Cup. All this is, and Saudi Arabia leagues are just dangling big money, but you've got the big stars like Bruno and that saying, "No, I want trophies." But you got people.
But Daniela, what are you noticing? What like again? So that guy in the chat, not Cookie. Big up to you, Cookmeister. Please get over and subscribe to 2 Marks. That guy's talking about laying down offers of 100 million for 100K a week. Mike, there's a huge difference with what they're doing in Saudi. Saudi Arabia are offering huge fees, and they're offering 600, 700, 800 grand a week, mate. Tottenham Hotspur are not going to do that. Now, if you've noticed, right, a lot of the players that go to Saudi seem to be there for a year and then leave. If you noticed, I'm not talking about Ronaldo at the end of his career. But you look, Gabby Vega today. Gabby Vega last year went out to Saudi, just signed for Porto. He's come back to Europe, right? It was Jota went out to Saudi. He's come back, right? He's come back to Europe. You've got who's the other one that went? Was it Douglas Luiz? Not Douglas Luiz. Yeah, Douglas Luiz.
Jordan Henderson. Was it Jordan Henderson?
Right. This is gonna happen. Steven Gerrard went out there as manager. Right. This is going to happen because people that money for 1 year is phenomenal. But what people soon find out is the style of play and the level of football they're playing in is absolutely awful. Right? The crowds are awful. It's not what it is in Europe. But Daniela, listen, we have been going a while. I've got people waiting. Is there anything you want to say before you go?
Yeah, I think I'll say to go in your comment about the football is not what fans do. There's another industry, because I used to be a theatre technician and I work in, when you said football's not as glamorous as people think it is. That's a lot of industries. The film industry is the same. I worked on film. I'll tell you one thing, they're the most boring. You get a lot of money for working on a film, but they're the most boring days of your life you can ever do is working on a film. It is. Do
you know what you get as well? Listen, this must be the last thing I say before I get someone on.
No.
What I will say as well is these are just human beings. When you work with these people, they're just humans. They're not turning up like, don't get me wrong, some of them have got the swagger. Most of them get out of their cars, hey, doing, mate, you all right? Have a chat, blah, 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 and you move on. They're not special. They're just good at football. Do you know what I mean?
It's nice to chat. We still have to have that chat, but I think I've lost the motive about it now. Remember?
Yeah, sorry, I'm so bad with phones. Just so you know. But listen, we will have that chat. I promise. Listen, I need to get Aaron on. So
you have a lovely day. I've got a cup of tea. It's going to be both. As a West Ham fan, I suppose what we both want is to be competitive and consistent. And I think that's all we can ask for our teams next year is to be competitive and be consistent. And that's trophies that become that's all we can ask. And if it else is going to be down to luck and how other teams perform, because the Premier League is such a strong team now. And it's like there's 12, 13 good teams in the league, in this league. All can get in the top 5, all can get in the top 8. All can get, like, I can name 4 teams, 5 teams I think are going for the Championship. There's another 8, 10 teams going for the European places, and then another 5 teams below them who could get into top 10 if things go their way.
It is competitive. I'll give you that. But listen, I must let you go. I've really got to get other people in because I can't be here all night
See you
tonight.
later. Bye.
I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Right, if anyone else would like to come on, the link is in the chat. I have got Aaron, followed by the Psycho Teacher, followed by Angus, who doesn't understand the memo about Spurs fans, but we do love Angus, so I will make an exception in his case. Aaron Kent. Big up, Aaron. Let me put myself back. Oh, sorry. I would change our camera positions, but StreamYard's not working today. So how are you, sir?
I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Why not? Yeah,
good.
I'm good.
Yeah, so I just wanted to come on and talk about the not necessarily the manager situation, but I get frustrated with, if you take out, is it going to be Ange, is it going to be someone else?
Yeah.
Take that to one side and then look at it from the point of view of, if you look at the way your chat reacted when it was like, oh, it's going to be Thomas Frank, he was branded as useless before he got through the door. And that's not the first time that that's happened, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you an example, right? You look at Nuno. Now, I'm not saying I wanted Nuno, right? But you bring Nuno in, who did a decent job at Wolves. He wasn't a bad manager at Wolves. I'm not saying I wanted him at Tottenham, but he did a decent job. We decide after 10 games, oh, he's useless, we got to get him out, and he's gone. Then he goes to Forest and he proves that he's not actually a terrible manager. Now, I'm not really making the point that I wanted Nuno at Tottenham. The thing that frustrates me is every time somebody comes in, as soon as they have a rocky patch, our fan base can't wait to get them out. And I just don't see how you can build any kind of sustainable success based on, we're not going to allow anyone to have a rough run. You know, we did it to Nuno.
Can I ask you, though? Let me ask you, Aaron. Are you, I don't want to put words in your mouth, just shoot me down if I've got this wrong. Are you saying then that Ange has had a rough patch?
No. I'm just making the point that even if it's not Ange, right?
Okay.
So if somebody else comes in that's not Ange, you know, people say to me, well, if Ange stays and after 10 games he's lost 6, he'll be gone anyway.
Yeah.
Which is true. But I think that would be the same of any manager. You know, you look at Oliver Glasner at Palace, after 14 games, ironically, until he came to Spurs and played Spurs, they were bottom of the league. And then they came to Spurs and beat us. But we wouldn't allow a manager to have a bad start. I'm not talking about Ange. I'm just saying any manager that comes in, they've almost got to be immediately brilliant or we're not interested in them. It's just so frustrating. I don't see how you can build anything that's sustainable success.
Listen, I don't disagree with you. Obviously, it's going to be human nature that we like some managers, we don't like others. That I think that's a fair point to say. I think where I'm at with this is I look at managers and I go, what is the long-term plan with this manager? So, for example, if we use Ange at the moment and everyone's in that dreamy phase of we just won the Europa League. I look at things a bit different. I look at things not in the, oh my God, we won a trophy, we're amazing right now. I look at a manager and go, are you here for the long run? Are you implementing anything in the long term? Are you coaching? Are you upskilling? When you leave, are you leaving it in a good state for the next person? Now, let me give you an example of this, Aaron. For ages, right? Loads of people, what you'll find is, and this is the worst thing about being a YouTuber, is everyone sees your opinions and everyone seems to remember your opinions, but they don't remember their own, right? So if you've got 700, 800, 900 people in a chat room, they can change their opinion every 2 minutes. I won't know, right? They'll know if I change mine. Now, I always said, I don't want Conte. And people didn't want to listen why I didn't want Conte. They just heard I didn't want Conte. And for that very reason, Conte is not a manager that stays at clubs long. Conte is not a manager. right?
I was just going to say, as soon as anything happens that he doesn't like,
right,
he throws a paddy and then he's gone.
And so what he doesn't do is he doesn't build anything for long-term sustainability. He does things for right now, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you are a club like Spurs and you bring in a manager like Antonio Conte, who we know isn't the guy that you give loads of young players to and say, go on, Antonio, be here for 5 years.
Yeah.
That for me is a real juxtaposition, right? That for me is, well, why have we brought him in then? Bring him in and give him the best players available, or don't bring him in. But people just heard Savva doesn't like Antonio Conte. I'm like that with Ange. I can't see sustainably that what he did last season can continue. Right? A good cup run. Loads of managers have a good cup run in their career that didn't do anything league-wise, that didn't do anything groundbreaking, but they won a trophy. And I can't see that anything changes with this guy. And to bring this full circle, Aaron, to your point about Frank, before again, he's the bookie's favourite, right? So this isn't my favourite, but he's the bookie's favourite.
No, he's not mine either.
He's done absolutely nothing wrong in his career to be getting the stick he's getting from the Tottenham fans. He is a brilliant coach. He's a superb coach, right? Who's tactically flexible, works well within his means, loses his best players every single year. You watch, if he stays there this year, they've just lost Flecken. They're gonna lose Mbuemo, right?
Yeah.
So, but you know what he'll do? He'll dust himself down, he'll replace them with lesser players, he'll coach them, and they'll be competitive again. For some reason, we don't think that worked at Tottenham.
I think the difference is, right, and I'll give you an example. Now, I think we overpaid for Dominic Solanke.
Amen.
Right. We definitely should not be paying 65 million. But 4 games into the season, he hadn't scored a goal. And our fan base straight away was, we shouldn't have bought him. What a waste of money. And I just kind of feel like sometimes that's right. Not everybody you buy is going to be value for money. But I hate the lack of patience.
Yeah, but Aaron, we're going to disagree on this one. The problem is if your statement signing is a striker for £60 million that is experienced, right? He's got to come in and score goals. He's got to come in and hit the ground running. You know, we could talk about patience all we like, but that's what the big clubs demand. When players go to big clubs that are the star signings, you don't get that grace period. Yeah, you go in.
That's what I'm trying to bringing that back to Thomas Frank. The reason why he can replace players that leave is because there's not that same degree of everybody must be a success straight away. Like the guy they bought to replace, they bought to replace Tony was injured for 8 months.
Sure, but doesn't that show you how good the manager is that he adapted? Like, let's be fair, right? Tottenham sold Harry Kane. 2 years later, I'm still seeing Harry Kane used in arguments as to why Ange has done a good job when he never had him, right? That is ridiculous. That's like me saying, I love my wife, but you know what? I could have had Margot Robbie. Well, I never had Margot Robbie. She was never my girlfriend. I never had her. She wasn't in my life. I can't, right? But what did he do? Thomas Frank lost that striker they bought to replace Tony. And what's he done? He's upskilled, changed his system, and got Mbuemo and Vissa getting 40 Premier League goals between them. That's a coach. That's a brilliant coach. And your point about the pressure to do as well, or sorry, the words that you said there was
well, I'm trying. It's not the same. It's not the same scrutiny in terms of, yes, it's the Premier League, but if after 10 games, Bournemouth are 14th, I don't know what I said, Brentford are 14th, then there's not really any pressure on him still, which is right. There shouldn't be with the job that he's done.
But Aaron, there's massive. See, again, this is what I'll be honest, and I'm not saying this about you, so please don't be offended. I'm sure you've seen me and you know the way I talk. I don't mean to offend anyone.
Love your show, mate. Love your show.
But it is the arrogance of Spurs fans, right? Think of the pressure that Thomas Frank has with that small squad, tiny salary, and the fans' expectation now that they're just going to stay in that league every year, right? So he's got different expectations. He's got different expectations to what a manager at Spurs does. But this guy is a coach. This guy is a superb coach. Why wouldn't he be able to do that at Tottenham with better players?
He would.
Surely that makes his job easier.
I just don't. I think he could do it. I just don't doubt. I have the doubt that if he lost 4 games in a row, you'll get, oh, Tottenham should never have hired him. You know, we should have hired somebody better. Blah. And just, I'm
Sure,
so
but the
sick of
answer
it.
to that now, everybody's just excused Ange Postecoglou losing week in, week out for 20 months. So my answer now for the next manager, if the next manager comes in and loses 4 games, I'm going to turn around and do the same thing everyone else said. All right. Well, maybe this manager's concentrating on a cup. We'll wait till May and find out. And that's the danger, Aaron. You obviously, I'm being facetious, right?
Yeah.
But that's the danger now of the precedent that everyone's set by excusing defeat after defeat after defeat.
Yeah.
What that does is now sets the precedent for whatever manager that comes in. We can
I mean,
turn around and go, well, he's lost 10 in 12. So what? So did Ange. Who cares? It's dangerous, right? It's a dangerous precedent.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I kind of look at it as whoever's in there next year. I mean, if Ange is there, unfortunately, the expectation is, how can I word it? Because he's had 2 years, he shouldn't have the excuse of he needs to see which players work in his system. He needs to see, he should know that already. Whereas somebody else coming in, you got to give them time to build their own squad. That's why Amarim's still at Man United, because they're not his players. So if you bring someone else in, he's working with a group of players that ain't his players. So that's why I'm saying you need a bit of patience. If people think Thomas Frank's going to come in and we're finishing 4th, they're in dreamland, mate, in my opinion.
Look, I agree. And for what it's worth, Aaron, I think I've stated this a number of times in the last week or two and people aren't listening to me. I don't think he is leaving. I want him to leave. I don't think he is leaving, right? But at the end of the day, you're bang on. He's had 2 years. Okay, I'll ask this question. And obviously, we can't be too long because I've got people in the background. But I'll ask this question. And thank you for the super chat, by the way. Much appreciated. If I've been at my job for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a manager, and somebody turns around and says, right, go and watch my team play football. Right? Now imagine that was Tottenham. When you watch Tottenham, does any part of you think, yeah, that's a team that's had the same manager for 2 years that has been training them every day, drilling them, coaching them? I look at Spurs and go, every game we look like it's the first ever game of a new manager. Every game we look like a bunch of strangers. But people then go, Thomas Frank. Oh, Thomas Frank in 10 games would have Spurs, a very difficult team to beat, well organised. I guarantee you, he would coach them. He would have them organised. But you know what? He's not the sexy name. People say,
I guarantee you, I promise you this, right? He could be 6th in the league, playing decent football. We look like we're getting somewhere. Then he could lose 4 games in a month, and you'll have people bombarding your channel who ain't got a clue about football, saying, "Oh, we should never have hired this guy."
Sure. But do you know what?
So
do you know what's worse? The worst excuse for me is what players will want to play for Thomas Frank? All right, let's chuck that back. What players will want to play for Ange Postecoglou? Because the 26 defeats I've seen this year, the players we've already got don't seem to want to play for him. So
yeah, but then the weird thing about that, right? I've seen James Maddison say, I weren't sure about Tottenham. Then I spoke to Ange Postecoglou, and then I wanted to come. Bergvall was going Barcelona. Then he spoke. I mean, Ange Postecoglou, whatever you think about him, he must have a very persuasive way of getting people to join him, because people have said it.
But isn't it funny that we only talk about the ones that he managed to get here and not the ones that he didn't? Why didn't he get on the phone to Doué and convince him instead of PSG? Why didn't he get on the phone to Colomawani when he turned us down for Juve? Why didn't he get on the phone to Tomori from Milan when he turned us down for a loan move? It's funny. You know what I mean? We hear about he's magic. He gets on the phone. All right, brilliant. I could be good on the phone, but on the pitch, his tactics are absolutely awful. Look, Aaron, you're always welcome to come back. I do need to go. I've got 4 or 5 people queuing up. Loved meeting you, mate. Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate. Good show.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And just
Okay.
never take me too seriously. If you see me getting riled up, it's just my nature. It's just the show.
Oh, no,
I'm
mate.
not
I'm
having a
getting
heart
used to you.
attack.
I'm
All right.
getting used to
Get
you.
used to me.
Take
Yeah,
care.
get used to me. All right. See you later.
Bye, mate.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And again, someone here who can't quite understand. Savva, didn't you say you didn't want Kolo Muani? No. I said, I'll take Kolo Muani on loan. But whether I wanted Kolo Muani or not, that wasn't the point of the conversation. But good try. You did well there. You did try. Big up. We got Psycho Teacher, followed by Angus, followed by DJ Paul, followed by Tommy, followed by Mark Taylor, followed by my wife giving me a slap round the face for not being available at any point ever, followed by a watch along tonight on FHTV Plus, Germany versus Portugal. And I'm just glad to be getting away from Ange conversation and watching a game of football. Big up to the Psycho Teacher. Hello, my man. How you doing?
Vamos, Savva. Vamos, Spurs. We have won. We did that, man. We are supposed to be happy. Aren't you happy, Savva?
I mean, do you know what? I think the number of times I'm told to be happy, I feel like people just want me to go like that. Like, yeah, we won it, but now what? Let's move on. Look, Chelsea, Liverpool, right? These clubs, they've won things. They're moving on. They're now looking to next season. We're so busy talking about 2 weeks ago that we're not doing it.
That's the thing, sir. That's the thing, sir. Because if we paid the highest wages, if we had all the best players as Real Madrid, Barcelona, etc., we would expect to, keep going on. But, we don't have it. We don't have them, right? So against all the odds, against all the probabilities, we won a title. So that should make us even happier than if we paid the highest salaries, if we had the best players in the world, because, being a Real Madrid, supporter, you always expect to win a trophy and next season and the following season win another one. But after 17 years, you know what I mean? Don't you think so? You should be celebrating it and then see what happens, throughout the next season.
But when people say that, like as a grown adult, when people say to me, be happier, celebrate more, what does that, what do you want me to come on screen and am I meant to be dancing around?
No, it's someone in London. You can walk down the streets, with put on your Tottenham shirt, walk like quite blasé, boosting your team, mate. That's it. Just make the other people, opponent teams, feel unpleasant, at least, because you have to boost it, because all against the odds, we won it, as a miracle. But at the same time,
no. Hang on. I've got to stop you in your tracks.
Of course.
It wasn't against the odds. It wasn't a miracle. We were the favourites to win the tournament, right? Let's not pretend we've done something like beating Man City and Juventus and Bayern Munich along the way. We've won a tournament that we were favourites for. It's good. It's great. It's got us Champions League football, but it's by no means a miracle. Come on, let's not pretend it was a miracle.
It was a kind of, it was unbelievable because, as you know, we had all suffered a lot during the league. We had watched terrible games, and I don't think we could consider us, favorites playing that shit, terrible, dreadful football, and suddenly winning a title. It was a kind of something unexpected, sir. Don't you think so?
No,
Really?
No. We were favourites to win the tournament. We were favourites to win it. So it's not a miracle. There's a way of flipping that. It was a miracle for me that we lost.
We played against the other side of the pedigree of trophies, Manchester United, and you won it. That's not easy, sir.
But the thing is, what you're doing to me here is it's making it sound like I didn't want to win it, right? I just don't think it was a miracle. I said after the draw, when we got to I said at the beginning of the season, I don't think we will win it. I think Bilbao will win it. When we got to the draw and I saw that we had Alkmaar and then the route we had, I said, we should be winning this from here. We've not got anybody that I go, oh my God, they're going to batter us. So for me, listen, we won it. It's great. But the thing is, we're acting like a very small club right now. All these other clubs, Chelsea have won the Conference League, finished top 4. I'm not hearing any Chelsea fans going on.
We are not Chelsea, unfortunately.
Sure,
we
but
don't
this
pay
isn't a
the highest
vintage
salaries.
Chelsea.
We don't have the best players,
Neither do Chelsea. Neither do Chelsea.
Well, Chelsea pay a higher wages, right?
Yeah. But look, I don't know what people want. Like, I'm happy about it, but I think the more people try and force people to be happier, it's done. For me, we've won it. Brilliant. That was last season. We've won it. We're European champions in the Europa League. Cool. What next? What are we doing now to push on? What are we doing? Like Roy Keane said when we won it, great. It's about time they won a trophy. Now, don't stand still. What are you doing? Where our fan base is just still going, we're still champions. Great. But what are we moving towards? What have you seen Spurs do in 2 weeks? Tell me what we've done in the last 2 weeks.
There is a kind of hype, over Thomas Frank. Also over the following 2 weeks. In the following 2 weeks, people expect to have Thomas Frank. I see most Spurs fans, and I can't quite understand it, because we didn't like Ange Postecoglou at first because he didn't have a nice CV, a nice resume coming from no lower leagues, Japan, Australia, Scotland. And Thomas Frank, he has never won anything, sir.
Sure. So let's break down this argument. I love this argument. Right. So in the last 15, 20 years, who's been the best manager you've enjoyed watching football under for Tottenham?
Best 20 years?
In the last 20 years, who for you has given you the best time as a Spurs fan? You've enjoyed watching it. We've got a good team. We're hard to beat, defensively solid, good going forward. Which manager?
The only times we had confidence, that winning a game, that we could win the next one, was the times of Redknapp and Mauricio Pochettino. That's it.
Okay.
And the beginning of Antonio Conte also.
Hang on, you've just answered my question without me really needing to explain it. Mauricio Pochettino came from Southampton, right? So literally would be disrespected right now the way Thomas Frank is being disrespected. Pochettino picked up an absolute shit show at this football club and made us a very well-respected team for 4 to 5 seasons. Now, yes, he didn't get over the line, but every game we went in under Poch, I thought, you know what? Maybe not the last half a season, but I thought, you know what? What a good team he's assembled. What a good team he's coached. He's made every player better. Defensively, we're organised. The midfield is solid. Going forward, we look good. He's coached young players. He's developed players, right? He got us in 2 title challenges, right? And now you look at Thomas Frank and we're just going, oh, but he's never won anything. So by your metric, do you want Steven Gerrard as manager?
No, I wouldn't.
Why not? He's won something. So why don't you want Steven Gerrard?
Well, because the way he have his teams playing is not exactly what I particularly see as a way to be strong in a league. Because leagues and cups are a bit different. Quite different actually, right? You can approach them differently.
So let me ask you a question. At Brentford for the last 7 years.
So much so, the last times we won cups, we were not so good in the leagues either. In 1999 and also in 2008.
Sure. But in those leagues, we didn't have as good a squad as we got now. But let me ask you this question. At Brentford for 7 years, Thomas Frank, and they've just got better and better and better and better. Fans like you say, but he's not won anything. What is it that any of us were expecting he was meant to win at Brentford? What was he meant to win as Brentford manager? Is it the league?
Well, maybe you could look for someone else, not him exactly.
No, that doesn't answer my question.
Why is it the focus on Thomas Frank only? There are so many managers in Europe. No.
So the focus why people are talking about Thomas Frank a lot is he's the bookie's favourite to replace Ange Postecoglou. He's not my favourite to replace him. I just don't think he's a bad manager. There's managers I want instead of him. But I also think that if Thomas Frank came in, we'd suddenly see a team. I think we would be a well-drilled, well-organised football team that wouldn't get embarrassed every week and have 20 shots on our goal. But what our fans are doing now is they now suddenly prefer a manager that embarrasses us each week because he had a good cup run. Now, you've got to weigh up. Do you want the cup run or do you want to be a team that grows and gets better every week? I know which one I prefer. That's just me. I prefer. Doesn't mean I don't want to win trophies, but
Mhm.
one's a coach, one is a car salesman that had to abandon all of his ideologies and philosophies to put 10 men behind the ball to beat an awful Man United team.
Yeah, but we are all complaining a lot, that in first backs whatsoever, it doesn't matter the way we play, matters, our trophies, in the end of the day. And we got a trophy.
Sure, but okay, but the last question I'll ask, because I've got lots of people waiting, is what we've just done this season sustainable moving forward? The style of play, the number of defeats, is that sustainable moving forward at Tottenham Hotspur?
I hate it, the way we play it. I've been to your show other times. I don't like Ange Postecoglou, though. But at the same time, we have just won a title. 2 weeks ago we have just won a title. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And then we see what happens.
That's not what I asked. That's not what I asked.
Me.
Is it sustainable to keep doing this? What I mean by that is this. There are teams that every now and then win a trophy. It doesn't then catapult them on to win over and over and over again because what they've done isn't sustainable. They've had a good cup run.
Sure.
For this season, we can turn around and go, all right, we've lost 22 league games and people want to sweep that under the carpet. I'm not. My carpet looks like a pyramid right now with all those defeats under it. But is it sustainable moving forward to get better as a football club if you've got this manager? Not just one cup win. Is it sustainable?
I agree with you, sir, in that aspect. I don't think so. It's sustainable. But at the same time, you have just won a cup. You know what I mean? So you've got both ways, both sides. It's difficult. It's difficult to balance, to find the right balance, though. It's really difficult. I know. But still, we have just won a title, a trophy after 17 years. You know what I mean?
I understand the club's history. I talk about Spurs all day, every day. I get the club's history. I'm just saying, thank you for winning the trophy. But I think because it's been 17 years, everyone's got a little bit too giddy and forgetting how shit we've been for 2 years.
Not at all, sir. Not at all.
They are, because anyone who wants to see more of this football, you've got to ask yourself why. Listen, I want to win a trophy, but I also don't want to lose 26 games a year while everyone is slapping us every week. Is that surely I'm not telling anyone to be Ange.
It was terribly painful last season in the league. Absolutely, I agree with you.
Right.
Yes, the last matches, I didn't even watch the second halves of the matches, because they were too boring, dull, and dreadful. I agree with you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't think Thomas Frank is the one who will take us to the next step, as we say. Hopefully, I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong. Is our next Pochettino like? I don't know. Who knows? If he comes.
Listen, as I've said before, and people don't listen to me, and I will let you go after this because I've got to get people in and I can't be on this all night tonight. I've never ever once said Thomas Frank is my favourite. What I do know is if they do announce Thomas Frank, though, I won't be upset because all I've said for 2 years, for anyone that watches me will know I've never changed from saying I want a coach. I want a coach. I want a coach that on a Saturday or a Sunday when we play says, we're playing them today. They are good at X, Y, Z. I am going to counteract that by doing X, Y, Z. And at the moment, we've got a manager that says, who cares what they do? We're just going to be gung-ho. And that's great because you won a cup. When we don't win a cup, it shows how bad he is. So for me, look, we'll see what happens. I don't think he's going anywhere, by the way. I don't think he's going anywhere. Psycho teacher, I love you a long time, my man. I love you to bits. I'll see you soon.
Stay healthy.
And you.
Vamos, Spurs.
And you, mate.
Vamos, Savva. Cheers.
See you later. Right, I'm going to go straight into it. Smash the like buttons, people. You tight gits. Only 172 likes. Big up to DJ Paul. How you doing, mate?
Hey, Savva. Hey, long time, man. And I'm excited to be talking to you, but you're stealing my thunder here already. We want a coach. Why do we want a coach when we can entertain? And so I will lead with that. When you talk about a manager that ran into what I call the prototypical way of playing a knockout tournament, sitting behind the ball, getting the results that we really need. And I don't like to bash the fans, but for those who are saying that that's it, remember when we're playing by the round of 16 came out, we had about 10 to 12 games that we had to play. And I think the question you just asked the other caller is, what did he do when you look at both the league and the knockout? He was playing two different systems, meaning he abandoned his bread and butter to go to a different system because it does not work. And so when we start talking about the Areolas and even Silva, I don't like Silva, but Areola, Frank, maybe I think he's slow in getting out the box, but then you see the trajectory once he starts.
Yep.
And so for fans who are saying all of those things that he won, Chelsea, I'm jumping a few points here, but Chelsea a few years ago, right, had Lampard, and they were like 9th or 8th, somewhere in there in the league. They fired him and brought in Tuchel. Tuchel won the Champion League with the same squad. Lampard was already doing well in the Champions League, but that is not where that's not where you cut you have your bread and butter. You have to be good in the league, and then you do whatever else. And so when I hear fans are talking about, oh, we win the Europa, but there's no guarantee that we're even going to be 8. There's no trajectory. There's nothing that we have seen in the league to say that we will be on pace to change where we are and come down to maybe about 8th and still do well in the Champions League.
Yeah, look, I think the thing for me, Paul, is, as I said to the last person, I think more this cup win is being overhyped. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's a good achievement, but because of the 17-year hiatus from winning.
Agreed.
I think if we had done this and we hadn't been 17 years, I think a lot of people would be saying, this manager is dreadful, he's got to go. Now, as I've said, I'll caveat this again because the people clip me all the time. I don't think he's going anywhere. But you know what? People ask for stability. Like for example, Reezy said, do you not appreciate stability? But what stability have we got? We lose nearly every week. That's not stability. We go into league games and we know exactly. Sorry, I've got a feeling my front door's going to go. Sorry, bear with me 1 second. Sorry, Paul, I've got a feeling my front door's going to go. 1 sec.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry. Bear with me. Just talk to them. Sorry, talk to them for 1 second.
I'll speak. So I didn't see exactly who made the comment or the post that was in. I'm going to address that with who said that I don't appreciate a stability. What you look at when you're looking at a manager is whether or not the manager can coach at what he's doing. Now, the system that he's playing in, okay, I am not one who want to say the manager should play in a 3-4-3 formation, because that's not what he's doing. I am looking at the fact that he's playing in a 4-3-3 formation, and then he's having his fullbacks and stuff running up in the offense and sitting consistently on the opposition 18-yard box. If you look at or listen to what Savva said before, he's saying that, look, I need to see a coach who's going to look across the pitch and say, what are you bringing today? What is happening with, say, let's just call a team. Let's say Aston Villa, one who play a 4-4-2. And so when a team is playing a 4-4-2, they have one thing in mind. You are not going to breach them. Right? And that's the purpose of it. And you can attack out of any formation. What Ange does, he continues to do the same thing. Well, he's trying to run when you can't run on a team that is playing a 4-4-2. So when the poster, whoever said that before, talking about stability, he's trying to impress upon the other team everything that he brought to the table and not what is being opposed against him. And that's a problem that I have with him. So you're talking about two different things. You're talking about whether or not we have a manager for a long term, or we're talking about a manager who's going to coach and appreciate the tactics that is coming from the other side. For the poster who said that I don't appreciate stability. We're talking football and you're talking personnel. That's two different things. I want to see a coach. I want to see a manager.
Do you know what? Listen, Paul, sorry, but thank you for that. My wife forgot her door key, so I had to get some people I don't have to open the door to, and my wife is one that I do. Look, I make you right. People always say this. We want stability. We want continuity. Okay, so do we want the continuity of just keep losing most games? Is that continuity? Is that stability? Is that truly what we want? Or do we want to be coached? Now, again, there are people in the chat that, Savva, what has Frank done to deserve the job? Again, Dave, I'm not the one that's made Frank our favourite. The bookies have made him the favourite. The reports were saying that Spurs have spoken to him. It's not me. Everyone's going on as though I've approached Thomas Frank and said, do you want the job? All I'm saying is, if Thomas Frank gets the job, I look at him and go, good coach. Yeah, that doesn't mean I think, oh my God, this is the greatest football manager ever. But this man will work with the team. What he will also do, he will develop players from his youth background. What he will also do is he will not embarrass us with the media. He will not be giving interviews where he's shouting and swearing, and not swearing, but, you know, when he's mocking the reporters. He won't be arguing with our fan base. He will come out and explain. I don't know what's so wrong with that. I don't know why all of a sudden we think that nobody is good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. If we look at the last 20 years, our periods of sustained positivity, if you will, I won't say success, were Harry Redknapp, who wasn't a serial winning manager when he came to Spurs, but bloody hell, I loved watching Spurs under Harry. I loved the teams that Harry Redknapp put together. Pochettino hadn't won a single thing. Comes to Tottenham, look at the job he done. So I just think before people are going to start saying, what can this manager do? He's not good enough for Tottenham. Hang on. We've won one trophy in 17 years. And all of these fans now suddenly want to start getting on their high and mighty about who's good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. I think we need to take a little step back. Yeah. Stop with the arrogance. Actually go and do the research. Go and look at the videos of Thomas Frank talking about coaching. Go and watch his tactical masterclasses, right? Go and watch his changing room team talks. He's brilliant. But you know what? He's not won anything. All right, brilliant. So what? 95% of the managers out there can never manage Tottenham. It's sorry, Paul. It's just mad, isn't it, mate? It's too crazy.
Yeah, you know what, Savva. You know what I find. I find even on my I don't get a lot of comments on my channel, by the way, but on Facebook and wherever else and more posting on here on YouTube is that you find out when you start to talk football, it becomes very difficult for some fans because they like to get into the personal. Take, for example, Brennan Johnson. Brennan Johnson is not a good footballer, right? But he has something that most good footballers have. He can stick the ball in the back of the net. And if you put him in a position where he's going to do that often enough, that he looks better than his actual skills are that we are looking for. Because Ange is trying to turn Johnson into a flat-out winger, which he is not. You play him inside and you see that he will grab you 20 goals. Does that mean he's a good footballer? No, because he doesn't track back. He doesn't do all of that work. So when you start talking about the football side of things and you start reflecting on the manager, they can't handle that. They start telling you that nobody is good enough, or you think the manager good. The manager is doing whatever he's supposed to do. Then you can talk about him as a coach. He is not. He is not coaching. the team, in a sense, like I said, you can look and see exactly what he's doing today, what he done yesterday, and who he's going to play against when he comes in tomorrow. You can't play Arsenal the way you play City. You can't play City the way you play Newcastle, because Eddie Howe is a tactician and he's going to break you, and he keeps doing the same things.
So just quickly, before I let you go, Paul, because by the way, everyone in the background, I've got time for 2 more people. And I've got Tommy, Mark, and Angus. So if anyone can, look, so in the background, I've got Tommy, Mark, Angus, and Marios. I've got time for 2 more people. If anyone can wait till next week, that would be amazing. I do need to finish in 15 minutes exactly, because I've got some things to do before my show tonight. But Paul, let's use the guy you just said there to round off for a minute. Right now, do you think if I said to every Spurs fan, Eddie Howe's going to be our manager, I reckon nearly every Spurs fan will go, yeah, right? Yeah, I'll take Eddie Howe. Look at the job he's doing. What had Eddie Howe won before he went to Newcastle?
Nothing.
Right. And in 4 years, in less than 4 years, 2 Champions League finishes in the league, 2 cup finals, 1 cup win. He's coached loads of players better, right? He's upskilled them. He's got different tactics. He can go from a 3 to a 4, 3 in the middle, 2 in the middle, 3 up front, 2 up front. Our fans, by their metric, wouldn't have had an Eddie Howe because he hadn't won anything, whilst they were overlooking the brilliant job he did taking Bournemouth from League 2. And they were 5 minutes away from going out of the Football League to the Premier League. Fans don't look at that. They don't look at the coaching. They just go, what's he won? Oh my God. Let's hire Steven Gerrard. If that's
just the last thing, because I wanted to get other fans in. And it's my pleasure, as always, talking to you. The way these fans are talking, it's the way they treat transfers. Like, for example, just a quick example. We played 4 at the back, right? And we're in the Champions League. And you look at who is on the roster. Say Ramiro is going to stay. Okay. When you bring in Aguayi in, sign in already Danzo, and you have Dragushin, where he going to be playing if you have Van de Ven on the left and Ramiro on the right? You have to find somewhere to play him, means you have to go to a back 3. So therefore, if the manager is going to continue to play in a back 4, you can't bring in Guehi unless you sell Ramiro, because you're not going to have anywhere to put him. And you can't platoon your 2 best players, or when you have 3 good defenders who should be starting, who should be penciled in. So we have to be reasonable in how we think about the things, football, and not the whole personality tabloid conversation. You have to look at football in a 101 way, and football is the most 101 sport you can have. You can't reinvent it. And so even now, the players that we're linked to, I'm not even going to get into that. I don't talk rumors, so I will leave that for you to dive into later on.
Look, the last thing I'll say is this: if we're going to write off everybody that hasn't won a trophy, why don't we do that with footballers as well? Right? If this is the rule we're going to go down, where we can only hire a manager that's won a trophy, why are their fans happy with signing Matisse Tell? Why are there fans that were happy at the signing of Odeber? Why are there fans happy at the signing of Archie Gray? Surely, if we want to keep this really arrogant thing of we must only have winners, cool. Let's only have winners throughout the entire pitch then. Mickey Van de Ven hadn't won anything. We signed him.
Won anything. But the culture of football, though, I will let it go. The culture of football and big club football is that winners goes to winners. That's it. You're not going to have, most of the times, players dropping down to Tottenham. They will go across the board. Real Madrid, the Barcelona, the PSG. Players, good players at the top are going to travel across that kind of spectrum. So inevitably, you have to go for talent that is below that, and hopefully they can propel you to where those big clubs are. I will see you, my man. Thank you for the time.
Thank you
Best
for
of
coming on.
luck.
Thank you. You take care. I'll see you soon.
I want to see you next year, man. I want to see you next year. I need to come to London.
I'm here, man. I'm here. You get to London, we'll meet up. It's all good.
Definitely. Peace.
See you, man. Bye-bye. So I've got Tommy and then Mark, and then that's going to be it. And then I really do have to go out in about 10, 12 minutes. Everyone's saying what I'm saying is crazy, but I seem to remember loads of people absolutely creaming their pants with Pochettino. They were singing about him being magic. And now all of a sudden, no manager that hasn't won a trophy isn't good enough. Cool. All right. Let's go and get David Moyes. You want David Moyes? Everyone want David Moyes? Bet you'd say no. Bet people would say no. You want Steven Gerrard? He's won a trophy. I bet people would say no. Right? I could do this game all day long. Managers that have won a trophy. All right. I bet you Roberto Martinez. You want him? I bet you no one wants Roberto Martinez. Be careful what you wish for, people. Don't overlook good coaches. Tommy, how you doing, mate?
Right.
Yeah. I got. Yeah. Your sound wasn't working, but it is now. What do you want to talk about, mate?
I think
No, your sound isn't right. Your sound isn't right, mate.
Let me take this off.
By the way, while Tommy's doing that, people in the chat, you do realize that every manager that's a winner at one point in their career wasn't. You do realize they all had to not be a winner before they're a winner. Just saying. Go on, Tommy.
No. The thing is, though, you're going on the worst. So you're obviously talking. I get with the Gerrards and the Di Matteos, but you're missing out like the Peps and the Joses. I'll be honest, Savva.
For a reason.
No. I'll ask you this, and obviously go on. I was just going to ask: can you name me 5 managers, good or great managers that have not won anything?
No, of course not.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But wouldn't you rather go for someone? I get what you mean by who do you think you are, like, who do you think you are, like going on your big horse. However, wouldn't you want your boardroom to go for a manager that has won trophies because they've got a better CV and more? As much I do get with the no trophies because you've got to start somewhere. I get that you've got to start somewhere, obviously. Otherwise, where would the best players be if they didn't like start at lower levels?
Can I just say 2 names to you?
That. Yeah, go on.
Can I say 2 names to you that blow this theory out of the water for everyone? Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte. You can go and get the...
No, what? Because they didn't do it at Spurs?
No. Hang on. My point is, at Spurs, we need to remember who we are. We can go and get Contes and Jose's serial winners. Spurs aren't buying them the players they need to regularly win. So this whole nonsense that we must have a winner, somebody that's won before. We need a coach. I said it when Jose was here. I said it when Conte's here. I'm saying it now Ange is here. We do not look like a team that are coached. We are not a good football team. We are not coached. We are not drilled. We need a coach. Now, it might be that we have a coach for 2 years who gets us to a really good position. Then you bring in a winner. But at the moment, we're sitting 17th in the table. Everyone has 20 plus shots against us because we can't manage a game of football. And no one wants a coach to sort that out. It's mad.
Do you know what I reckon? I think you've been having the wrong conversation. I think the only conversation you should be having is about the upstairs of your football club. Not the managers, not the players, not anything else. The upstairs is where you should be having. That's why when I come on before, I was more, because I don't like owners nowadays. I think they take the... I hate how everyone craps on the Man City owners and the Chelsea owners, but at least they actually try and win. At least they actually put money into it, where the others just do all the PR and everything. Well, no one talks about what the Man City owners have done to the community, because that don't really get clicks, does it? They don't talk about that. Where your owner, just before a final, you know this, Savva, Levy gave all the players a watch.
Yeah, I know all this. I know all this.
But when you've got that, I'm not saying Ange's great, but you say context. If you look into context with Ange, you'd have to talk about the Man Cities, the Chelseas that he's up against. Hang on. Under.
17. I don't have to talk about the Man Cities and the Chelseas. He finished 17th. What about the Bournemouths, the Brentfords, the Evertons, the Wolves, the West Hams? What about all the Brightons, the Nottingham Forests? We've got a better squad than all of them. right? We've spent more money than all of them. We pay more wages than all of them. Why do I only have to look at the big boys? Why can't I look at all the other clubs that are above us? Look, Tommy,
The biggest problem with you is upstairs. It's upstairs. It's obvious.
But Tommy, if I sat here every day talking about businessmen and owners, we'd be here all day. My biggest thing, I'm a football fan. I'm a football coach. I've got my badges. I like football to be played properly. I want to see tactics. I want to see a team that's drilled and coached. When I watch Spurs right now, I have no idea what we are. And I said this to you last week, Tommy. When I watch us, I look and think, have you guys met before? Have you guys done anything on the training ground? We just look dreadful. I want a coach that comes in, sorts that out, and then you go for a bigger coach. And you know when Spurs should have gone for a Jose or a Conte? When Poch didn't get us over the line when we were in second place with that really good team, that's when you be ruthless as a club and go, right, you haven't got us over the line. Now we're bringing in a winner. What we do is we bring in the winners when we've got shit squads. And then we wonder why they don't win things. People go, oh, Jose and Conte couldn't do it. Well, of course Jose couldn't do it. You sacked him before a final. And Conte couldn't do it in the Cups. He was dreadful in the Cups. But
do you know what the difference between me and you is? Do you know what the difference between you? I think you prefer the journey, where I rather have the destination. I think that's where we're different. I think you're more in. No, I honestly believe you're more into how they. With me, I'm like, I don't care how you play. I don't care how you coach. You either win or you don't. And I think what's difference is, you know, when it said it takes time to win, it doesn't take time to win. It takes time to dominate. It does not take time. It does not take time to win. It takes time to dominate, but it does not take time to win.
That's okay. Name me loads of teams that have won then. Well, you're saying it doesn't take time to win. Why doesn't everyone win a trophy every season if it doesn't take time to win? Why have Newcastle won one trophy in 75 years if it doesn't take time to win?
In the extreme, you're not talking about the Man Cities, you're not talking about the Barcelonas, you're not talking about the Real Madrid, you're not talking about the Bayern Munich, you're not talking about the AC Milan, you're not talking about
they dominate. But they dominate.
They get money
That's
behind
not what
them
you're talking about. Tommy, see, this is the difference. You've come out of a statement there which is massively flawed, saying I prefer the journey than destination. No. What I prefer.
I've only listened, John. That's what I've gathered from it. I can't.
Okay. But let me set the record straight then. So for me, what I understand is what we've done this season, which you would class as the destination of winning, is the anomaly, right? If you want to win again and you want to get better as a club, it's not going to happen again like this. It's not going to happen again where you finish 17th. Huh? I can't hear you. You're so muffled, mate. I can't hear. I can't hear you. You're muffled. It's really muffled, mate. I can't hear you. Can't it? Can you speak? No, it's mate. It's really muffled. It's like you're in a bathroom. Yeah, mate. I can't hear. Mate, try again next week. Normally it's better. Try again next week. All right, mate. I'll see you soon. All right, mate. I'll get Tommy back on next week. I like Tommy. I love this Dave A. This Dave A, who's new. I've not seen him before. That means he's somebody I've blocked and he's come back. Tommy, you're a fan. Savva is a content maker. Yes. I'll be honest. Before I became a YouTuber, I wasn't a football fan at all. Absolute knobhead. Right, you're my last caller, Mark, and then I must walk these dogs before I stream tonight. How are you, mate? You good?
I'm good, mate. How about yourself?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. I just wish some people would listen to a little bit of nuance every now and then. Nuance.
Have you just seen Sky Sports?
No, go on.
They're just on about Ange. They're making a decision about Ange this week. Apparently, it's come up.
I've got to the stage where I'm just like, as far as I'm concerned, he's the manager, and we just move forward. We'll see what happens. What do you want to say, Mark? You're my last person, so make it good.
very quickly, I watched your program last night with the analyst and Stellis on there and stuff like that. Still,
yeah.
I just want to try and get to this myth that we threw away the league to concentrate on the cups. So this comes from the Ange fans or the Ange or the people who turn. So does that mean last year he threw away the cups to get fifth?
Mate, look, I just find it so convenient. I find it so convenient that we've been terrible for 20 months in the league, but because we've won a trophy now, it was, we didn't care about the league. What, for 20 months? For 20 months, we've not cared about the league. First of all, it was injuries. Then it was, we don't care about the goalposts shift and shift and shift and shift. My opinion, Mark, won't change. Brilliant. Thank you for winning the Europa League. But I'm sorry, this football team is not a good football team because of the manager. Sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. I know you agree.
Yeah, and absolutely. And they didn't throw the away league to get the cup because he could have played all the youngsters then. The Mikey Moores, the Archie Grades. They never featured by the end of it. They never featured.
No, and again, this is a great point. If we're going to say we threw the league, I expect to see Mikey Moore every game on the left. I expect to see Ajayi playing on the right. I expect to see Jed Spence every game at fullback, but he wasn't. It's too convenient. And the thing that annoys me about it is the number of people that haven't said this. And now there's thousands of them that never said this. There's thousands of them that would keep saying to me, hate these tactics. This manager's done. He's rubbish. Now all of a sudden it's, but we did throw the league. Hang on, what? You've not. So, mate, you know my faults, Mark. You know my faults.
Yeah. And also, I'd say for everybody else out there who says about coming 17th and winning a trophy, Wimbledon, Blackburn, all these clubs, they were all the underdogs. We were the favourites. That tells us how bad our season's been when we were the favourites and we're 17th.
The favourites of a competition have to throw half a league season to be able to win the competition whilst beating Alkmaar, Frankfurt, Bodo, and the worst Man United team we've ever seen. That is the headline for me. For anyone saying that shows how bad we are then, that we had to throw everything to beat Alkmaar over two legs. That's mental. It is truly bizarre behaviour.
It was shocking. And let's be honest, up to the semi-finals, it was a dreadful campaign, or the quarterfinals. It was a dreadful campaign. Rangers, Galatasaray, there was some awful results in there. We won it. Fantastic. Let's move on. But let's not get carried away. Let's not get too far with it.
Look, as I said, I think the problem is I'm seeing people that are still every day going, hello, champion. We're champions. Champions. Fine. Okay, cool. What do champions do? Champions go, right, how do we kick on? What are we doing? How are we moving on? We seem to be the opposite of that. And unfortunately, what I think we're displaying, Mark, and I really do need to go in 60 seconds. I'm so sorry.
No worries. No, you're fine. No.
The behaviour that we're displaying is that of a team that has never won a trophy before, and we're suddenly going mad, right? We're acting like we are Crystal Palace, who won their first ever trophy with the FA Cup. That's what we're acting like that. And then people are going, this is what makes me laugh, is we're acting like a small club, then turning our noses up at people like Iriola or Frank or who. Which one is it? Are we a big club or are we a small? I genuinely don't know anymore. I just don't know.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you, mate. Absolutely. You walk them dogs, mate.
Yeah. Mark, listen, thanks very much, man. Listen, I'll see you soon. Really appreciate you as always. Take care, buddy. Right, that was Mark, everyone. And just before we go, Tony Rodriguez, very generous, gifting out a Football Heritage TV membership. Thank you very much, Tony. Really appreciate you. Guys and girls, I will be back in an hour for Germany versus Portugal, a game of football to watch in the Nations League. Join me for that on FHTV Plus. at probably 10 to 8 now. Kick off at 8 p.m. Thank you, Tony. You're a legend. You've been very generous the last few days. Thank you, my man. Take care, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs.